Israel is a racist apartheid regime that needs to be dismantled. Separating the West Bank from the rest of the country is based either, again, somebody's either ignorant or they're lying. There is no separation. There's no difference between the two different parts of Palestine. It's all occupied. It's been occupied. There's no Israel and then an occupied Palestine. It's all occupied Palestine. There's no settlements that are okay and settlements that are illegal. Every Israeli settlement was built, every Israeli city, every Israeli town, every Israeli village, every Israeli farm was built on stolen land. With few exceptions. Very, very few exceptions. Israelis are all settlers. I am a child and I was a settler. Israelis are settlers. They're living on stolen land, stolen property, stolen country. From the very beginning, that was the very intent of the creation of the state of Israel, was to steal Palestine from its people and give it to settlers. That's it. That's it. Who will govern? I don't know who governs any democracy. The people that whoever people vote for. You have a democratic state, and people go to elections and they vote for the people that they want to be governed by, or at least the worst of all, whatever. That's what you do. That's who governs them. You know how many nations there are that used to kill each other and then they became a nation? I had this conversation with a Spanish reporter a few weeks ago. Spain was ripped apart. I still remember in my lifetime, Spain had a fascist regime, as did Portugal. Greece was governed by a military junta. These countries were torn apart. There were civil wars. They made it up. They created a democratic state. They created a democracy. And Spain is divided. Catalan, we know. Catalan was almost wanted to secede from Spain. It's not like, everybody there sees thing eye to eye. But you create a democratic structure. You eliminate the racist elements. You dismantle the apartheid state. You allow the right of return. You put in mechanisms that allow the Palestinian refugees, to return to their home and their land. And if anybody doesn't want to live with Arabs, they shouldn't be living in an Arab country. Palestine is an Arab country. It was an Arab country going back, a very long time. If any Europeans don't want to live with Arabs, they can go back to Europe. I don't know, go somewhere else. But Palestine is an Arab country. It was an Arab country. And the fact that the last 75, 80 years, they've been controlled by a racist apartheid state mostly governed by Europeans, doesn't mean that that's the end of the story. It's still Palestine. And so you dismantle the apartheid state, you create the democratic institutions, and then people vote. You allow, Israel has 10,000 political prisoners. They're all political prisoners, by the way. The vast majority of Palestinian prisoners languishing in horrific conditions, in torture conditions in Israeli jails, including friends of mine who have been recently arrested again. They're political prisoners. They can form political parties. They'll run for office. There'll be a legislature. People will vote. And whoever wins will govern. You create a constitution. Israel never had a constitution, of course. The idea that it could be in Israel is absurd. It's like maintaining apartheid and creating a democracy. You can't have it both ways. And then you have a free democratic Palestine with equal rights, where everybody who lives in historic Palestine between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea have the same equal democratic rights, and you put in mechanisms that will allow the refugees who have been forced out and denied the right to return and be paid reparations and be compensated. And you rehabilitate Gaza. $4 billion a year coming from America can go to that instead of buying weapons. So there are ways to do this. We've seen this before. We're not reinventing the wheel.